This house, the $3 million inheritance, and the position of director will be inherited by my husband, their son. Upon hearing that the lawyer had arrived to handle my husband, Sean's inheritance, Leah stormed into our living room with eager anticipation. Leah, who had always hurried me about the inheritance and behaved arrogantly, must have been waiting for this day for a long time. Watching her approach the lawyer who was seated across from me, I realized that in the past, I would have raised my voice to criticize her. Now, I was almost excited to see what she would say to the lawyer. And when she uttered an exceedingly greedy statement, far beyond my expectations, I clapped my hands and laughed out loud. Seeing the astonished look on the lawyer's face, I continued to laugh at her audacity. Of course, she was not amused. She gave me a cold stare. Do you really think you're going to get his inheritance? Are you sure? I snorted at her obsession with money. Pointing at David, my son, who had just arrived, she shouted that her son had a right to the inheritance. And I finally decided to tell her the truth. I am Carrie. I am turning 65 this year. I supported Sean, who worked tirelessly as a doctor for many years, as a dedicated housewife. Even after he became the director, he continued to work as a practicing doctor. We were blessed with a son who aspired to be a doctor like Sean, and I think we had a fairly fulfilling life. Sean passed away when he was 68. He worked so hard that it's no exaggeration to say he was born to be a doctor. I can't help but think his hard work took a toll on him, but at his funeral, I realized he had no regrets in life. Many people mourned him, and the funeral was crowded with colleagues, superiors, and subordinates. We also received many condolences from former patients. My daily life was always about seeing him off to work. But seeing how much he was loved by so many people, I finally understood that it wasn't in vain. During such a solemn ceremony, it was Leah, our son's wife, who was behaving restlessly and carelessly. With a smirk on her face, she looked like she was almost happy that Sean had passed away. I overheard her saying terrible things during interactions with relatives. Sean was always a workaholic, right? He probably didn't have time to spend money, so he must have saved a lot. Hearing such words from right behind me, I couldn't believe my ears. Apparently, she was already thinking about how Sean's inheritance would be divided, even in the middle of the funeral. She might not even know that she has no inheritance rights, but more than that, her inappropriate attitude made me frown. Seeing this, David quietly approached me and whispered an apology. Mom, I'm sorry. Leah doesn't listen to me. It's not your fault. But if you think so, can you please keep her in check more firmly? I knew even without David saying it that she had always been like this. I sighed, recalling her intolerable behavior. Even when I was busy with funeral arrangements, she came to our house without offering any help and didn't even say a word of sympathy or concern. How much inheritance did Sean leave? It must be a lot, right? On top of that, she kept bringing up money. Just because you're his wife, don't waste Sean's inheritance, okay? Is that really all you came here to say? Well, you know, it would be a problem if you wasted it all since you don't have much time left. Leah spoke as if Sean's fortune was her own, which filled me with both anger and disgust. She also looked down on me, constantly making snide remarks. I don't know when she came to dislike me so much, but her attitude of interfering with other people's money left me speechless many times. David is also a doctor like his father. He doesn't have a bad income, but Leah has always been obsessed with money. She would frequently call me, hinting at needing financial support by saying things like, "We're having money troubles." Or, "I'm worried about David's income." I've never gotten along with her because of that. Now, seeing her count on Sean's inheritance again, I was reaching my limit. David's income is really unstable. We can't even afford to live lavishly. Then why don't you get a job and contribute to the household? Having a wife work is unthinkable. You were lucky, living comfortably with Sean's good income. No matter how much I told her, her attitude not only failed to improve but also seemed to escalate, as if she was deliberately trying to provoke me. It seemed like she couldn't help but disparage me, even if it meant belittling her own husband. Her disrespectful behavior towards our family, even if we are in-laws, and her hypocritical actions infuriated me. Yes, thanks to my husband, I live comfortably. Maybe you should try showing some respect for your husband too. If only there were something worth respecting. Anyway, I'm off to get my nails done. Don't forget about the inheritance, okay? Saying whatever she pleased, she left immediately. Her stormy behavior made me worry about how David was treated at home. However, her outrageous behavior didn't stop there. Even during the inheritance proceedings, she continued her misdeeds unabated. After the funeral, she would frequently visit, repeating, "Is the inheritance ready yet?" like a parrot. No matter how many times I explained that the process takes time, she would conveniently forget and keep pestering me. I had told her before that she had no authority over the inheritance, but she ignored me completely. She seemed to believe she would somehow get a large sum of money. David probably promises her a share of his inheritance. If that were all, I might not have intervened, but Leah even tried to take valuable items from our house. Hey! That's my necklace. What do you think you're doing? It's fine, isn't it? We're family. Let's get along. I refuse to get along with a thief. Consider it an advance on the inheritance. I'm waiting patiently for you, you know. No matter how many times I told her to stop, she never listened. When she took a necklace Sean had given me, I finally had enough and stopped letting her into the house. David continued to apologize on her behalf, but never actually stopped her, and I didn't expect him to. With no time to dwell on the loss of Sean's gift, her malicious harassment continued. When I stopped letting her in, she started telling her friends that I was an evil mother-in-law who wouldn't let her visit. Neighbors who sympathized with me would offer a strained smile and say, "It must be tough." I don't know why I had to be disliked so much. The last straw was a strange envelope in our mailbox. Opening the already opened envelope gave me a chill. It was mail addressed to Leah and David. As retaliation for not letting her in, she had her credit card bills sent to our house. The bills detailed extravagant dining and exorbitant online shopping, making me shudder. Hey, why is her credit card bill in our mailbox? I don't know. Don't ask me. And why is she spending so much when she's always complaining about money? Well, actually, I'm broke right now. Mom, could you pay this for me? Calling David to complain. I was shocked when he, seemingly influenced by her, made an outrageous request, leaving me speechless and shaking my head. Why would he think I would help them? How could he ask me to repay? Even he can't return what his wife had stolen? I criticized David for his convenient memory and careless attitude. Our support for you two is over. Why are you still burdening your parents at your age? But there's Dad's inheritance, right? You can't spend it all, so help us out. The nerve of you two is unbelievable. You're perfect for each other. Never contact me again. Feeling his casual attitude even over the phone, I raised my voice to reprimand him. I hang up and throw the bill in the trash. I felt dizzy thinking Leah had purposely placed the bill in our mailbox, intending for me to pay it. Could they really be planning to get the inheritance? What should I do, Sean? Holding a picture of him, I found myself asking aloud. My anger and disappointment with David and Leah were so mixed up that I didn't know whether to be angry or depressed. I was worried about whether I could proceed with the inheritance. I struggled to reassure myself. I hoped they would eventually face consequences. The terrible attitude of them left me burdened with frustration as I proceeded with the paperwork alone. What offered me a lifeline was a will Sean had left behind. Reading his will, I decided to exact a bit of revenge on them. Thank goodness. You really were on my side, I said, feeling a sense of calm return as I gazed at the will. Determined not to simply comply with their demands, I clenched my fist. I decided to deliver a significant blow to them at the right moment. Feeling relieved by the thought of retaliation, I completely forgot about Leah's credit card bill. Although I had no intention of doing anything about it, she must have realized I had ignored it because she called me. Despite telling her that the inheritance process was still not completed, she accused me of delaying just to keep the inheritance for myself. And she continued to insult me. It's because you keep withholding the inheritance. I'll wait a bit longer, but don't forget to pay the bill I left in your mailbox, okay? Enough with the jokes. Why do you think any of that money is yours? Of course, because David is your son. It's only natural. She laughed, as if mocking my ignorance. Being our son does grant David inheritance rights. Generally speaking. However, despite her accusations, I had not yet told them the crucial details written in the will. Even though it's something they should already know, given their tendency to twist facts to their favor, they likely hadn't considered it. I eagerly awaited the perfect moment to deliver a crushing blow. Finally, the moment came. That happened when I explained the situation to the lawyer and arranged for his assistance at the end of the proceedings. After explaining the situation to the lawyer and finalizing the paperwork, I contacted David. As expected, Leah rushed to our house upon hearing the mundane message. Seeing her walk in without hesitation through the purposely unlocked front door, I struggled to suppress my laughter. Finally. I was tired of waiting. "You've been stalling the process and withholding the inheritance," she said. "Leah, what brings you here? Is this the lawyer?" "I'm Leah, Sean's daughter-in-law," she said, ignoring me and quickly approaching the lawyer seated across from me. In the past, I would have raised my voice in frustration, but now I waited for her to speak. Excited to see what she would say. "This house, the $3 million inheritance, and the position of director will be inherited by my husband, their son." Sorry. Her greed surpassing my expectations, I clapped my hands and laughed out loud. Seeing the astonished look on the lawyer's face, I continued to laugh at her audacity. She glared at me coldly. "What's so funny? Are you upset about losing the inheritance? How did you come up with the $3 million figure? Where did that come from? Sean was a doctor, wasn't he? Of course, he would have that much. You haven't spent it all, have you?" Snorting at her obsession with money, I responded. Even though the money I inherited was none of her business, she couldn't stand the idea of me having it. "I warned you. Don't spend it recklessly just because you don't have long life left. The nerve of you to say such things to an in-law. I've warned you all along that you have no rights." Wearing the necklace she had taken from me, she glared accusingly. But I had no intention of yielding anything to her. Clenching my fist, I resolved not to lose to her greed. Pointing at David, who had arrived later, she shouted, he had inheritance rights. I finally decided to tell her the truth. "You two aren't entitled to any inheritance, are you, David?" "What? Why? Don't you know? Seriously? Are you still on about that? It was settled a long time ago. What are you talking about? Unbelievable. How can you think it's over without making amends? What? What are you talking about?" Leah seemed completely clueless, like she was totally out of the loop, which made me sigh in disbelief. She still couldn't remember what she had done. To remind her, I began to explain carefully to both of them. They married a few years ago. However, David had been married to another woman before that. And even though they had a child, David had an affair with Leah without regard for his family, and they eventually got married. The scandal came to light when David cried out for help to Sean, saying he couldn't pay alimony or child support to his ex-wife. "I didn't think you could be this irresponsible." "What were you thinking?" "I had no choice. I had to marry Leah. At least take responsibility for your actions. I won't pay for it. Come on, a little help won't hurt. You're a doctor, after all. You've got plenty of money." That remark lost his patience completely. When David started making excuses, saying they were busy with their new life and needed money for the wedding, Sean decided to cut him off entirely. Choosing his grandchild over David. "Fine. I'll pay instead. My grandchild shouldn't suffer because of you. Don't be so sarcastic. In return, I won't give you a single cent in the future. Don't expect any inheritance from me." David didn't take his words seriously, thinking it was just an empty threat. But Sean meant every word. He even skipped their wedding, saying, "Why would I celebrate someone who abandoned their family?" And never offered any financial help after that. "Dad, come on. One day you'll need us to take care of you. We're family. Can't you meet us halfway? I don't need your help, and I never will." David, knowing his parents were well off, tried to hint at future caregiving as a way to secure aid. but Sean never listened and put it all in his will. The will explicitly stated that everything would go to me and his grandchild from David's first marriage. Being old-fashioned and strict, Sean made sure not a penny would go to his son and his wife. I discovered this when Sean's lawyer showed me the will during the funeral arrangements. Remembering my anger at that time, I felt immense gratitude to Sean for leaving the will. So, David, you have no inheritance rights. The lawyer read aloud from the will. David and Leah were stunned. To rub salt into the wounds, I added. By the way, you took things from my house as an advance on the inheritance, right? Well, that is. As you heard, you have no rights. So, you'll return everything, including that necklace you're wearing today. I pointed to the necklace she had worn today. Leah glared at me, but, in front of the lawyer, she couldn't argue. She threw the necklace at me with a cluck of her tongue. I can't believe this. I came here expecting to get the inheritance. When you came to us to report your marriage, I thought you knew all about it. Because you were so goofy and saying it can't be helped because you were more attractive than his ex-wife. I remembered how furious I was at her smugness back then. I used to think David was fooled by her, but now I saw they deserved each other. I'll get the inheritance somehow. What about the hospital? The director's position needs an heir. Sorry, but it's already been handed over to a competent colleague. Why? It's supposed to go to your child. When you do something so terrible, it's only fair, isn't it? Leah clung to the lawyer saying, "What will we receive?" The lawyer, hired by Sean, calmly reiterated that they had no rights according to the will. This is absurd. It's completely unfair. So, what will you do? File a lawsuit? If you want to make a bigger fool of yourself, be my guest. Defeated, Leah stomped out, blushing her face. David followed her out, and I watched them go before making a small fist pump, clutching the reclaimed necklace. After that, she never contacted me again, and the process was completed smoothly. I was worried they might try to contact the grandchild, but David, who couldn't even pay child support, had no means to reach out. So there were no issues. Now, I hear they are in turmoil because they didn't get the inheritance. Leah reportedly told David, "I married you because I thought we'd get a lot of money, and they are on the brink of divorce." The saying, "when the money runs out, so does the relationship," seems fitting for them. David once demanded, "Give me either the inheritance you received from Dad or the house," but of course, I had no reason to comply. I simply told him stop dreaming and hung up the phone. Though I sighed at his irresponsibility, there was one recent bright spot. I received a letter from David's ex-wife, informing me that the inheritance process was completed. Along with pictures of my grandchild, the letter contained updates about their life and expressions of gratitude. She said she's lucky to have had such wonderful grandparents. They are living happily. The grandchild Sean cared so much about had grown up well and was living happily with a new father. Delighted by the letter, I immediately read it out loud to picture of Sean. Despite my disappointment in David's betrayal, I was glad to bring good news about our grandchild to him.